If someone was physically harmed as a child, it can be hard for them to feel good about themselves now that they are an adult and to realize they have value. And a few days ago, I wrote an article titled, "Can someone embody their parent's shadow if they were abused as a child?" Now that someone is an adult, what they may find is that it is hard for them to feel good about themselves. They could have the tendency to feel worthless and as though they have no value. As a result of this, they are likely to often feel low and depressed, and they may even think about ending their life from time to time. Considering this, their time on this planet is typically not going to be very pleasant. By being this way, they could have a high tolerance for bad behavior. Therefore, when they are mistreated, they might just absorb it and not get angry or do anything about what has taken place. This can mean that they have a number of relationships that are not very loving and supportive. These people could put them down on a regular basis and treat them like dirt. If they were able to step back and reflect on how they experience life, what they may find is that it has been this way for as long as they can remember. This can then just be seen as what their life is like, and that's all there is to it. Still, they may hope that it will change one day and that they will be able to feel good about themselves, to be treated well and experience good things. Part of them might even want to be saved, with this being seen as the only way that their life will change. If they were to look back on their early years, they might not be able to remember much. Then again, this could be seen as a stage of their life that wasn't that bad, or they may say that it was largely enjoyable. Alternatively, they may prefer not to think too much about this stage of their life due to how it makes them feel. If this is the case, they will be pleased that this stage of their life is over. Irrespective of whether they can or can't remember much about what happened when they were younger, this may have been a time when they were treated like dirt and as though they were nothing. This would have meant that they were not cherished and treated like they were a valuable human being. One or both of their parents would then have neglected and abused them, and this may have included physical, verbal, and emotional abuse. By being treated in this way, they would have been deprived of the nutrients that they needed to be able to grow and develop in the right way. This would have stopped them from developing a felt sense of safety, security, worth, deserving, and love. Instead, they would have developed a felt sense of vulnerability, insecurity, worthlessness, undeserving, and being unlovable. The reason for this is that they were egocentric at this stage of their life, which would have caused them to personalize what took place. Ultimately, their brain simply wasn't developed enough to allow them to see that it wasn't that they were worthless, unlovable, and bad. It was that one or both of their parents was a deeply wounded human being. The parent who treated them like they were nothing, assuming that it was one parent, may have generally come across as confident, faultless, and as though they had it all together. Thanks to this, most of the people in the outside world might not have realized what they were like behind the scenes, so to speak. What is clear, however, is that how they came across will have been nothing more than a facade, as if they were actually a well-adjusted and together human being, they wouldn't have treated their child in this way. No, what they would have done is build them up and prepared them for the real world. What this is likely to illustrate is that at a deeper level, they were carrying a lot of darkness. So beyond the idealized false self was likely to have been someone who felt totally worthless, unlovable, and hated themselves. But as they were estranged from these feelings and certain parts of themselves, it caused them to project this side of themselves into their child. This would have been something that took place unconsciously. Most likely, this parent had also been treated in a very similar way during their formative years. This would have greatly wounded them and damaged their ability to self-reflect and to empathize. By not being in a good way, they wouldn't have been able to realize that they were seeing in their child what they had disconnected from within themselves. Mistreating their own child would then have been a way for them to unknowingly keep their own wounds from entering their conscious awareness. If at this age they were not like a sponge that soaked just about everything up, and they were not in an underdeveloped state, they wouldn't have been as severely wounded by their parents' toxic projections. Nonetheless, what this emphasizes is that how they were treated wasn't personal. It was simply a reflection of what was going on for this parent. This parent was carrying so much toxicity that it had to spill out someone and onto at least one person. The truth is that there is nothing inherently wrong with them. They are not worthless, unlovable, or bad. So with that said, if you can relate to this, if you can see that at least one of your parents projected their toxicity onto you at the stage of your life when you were wide open and soaked everything up, and that this has caused you to develop a very dysfunctional self-image and to be out of touch with your inherent worth and value, and to know that you are lovable and deserve to be here, then please know that what took place, as I've said, wasn't your fault. You didn't deserve to be treated in this manner. And what matters now is that you reach out for the assistance that you need to gradually change your life so that you can live a life that is worth living. If you'd like to find out more about the services that I offer, please go to www.oliverjrcooper.co.uk or email me at info@oliverjrcooper.co.uk, and I'm looking forward to assisting you on your journey.